Hi guys, good morning everyone. Welcome to the second session of the debate of the Sustainable Development Debate of BAScii program. Hope everything's okay for you. Today we have three more debates. The last three topics that we're going to debate today. We will start with the capitalism free market or free market is the leading force to change the world into more sustainable economy than socialist economy. That's a good one. Then we will follow that by a super hot topic about social media is helping the world more than NGOs or not. And then we will wrap it up with I think one of the most concerns so far of the sustainable development world, which is fast fashion is more sustainable than those brand name stuff or not. For the first topic, we have Team 12, who support the climate change. No, sorry, capitalism of free market is the leading force to change the world into more sustainable economy. And we have Team 9, um, which they will go against the topic. So meaning that they will support the socialist economy. If the Team 12 and Team 9 is ready, hi Pech, hi Art, hi T-Rat, and Team 9 is GG, Nino, and Grace. Yo, Pet, how are you, man?
Yeah,
Good
I'm
day,
good.
man.
It's 3 in the morning here.
Wow. Okay. Well,
Uh,
let's get this thing over with so you can get some sleep, right? How's the
I don't
weather?
think I don't think I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Okay. How's the weather there?
It's cold.
Well, it's November, right? So,
Yeah.
all right. So, who will pitch? Who will be debate first for the team 12? What is the order?
Meครับ I will start the introduction ครับ
Okay. So there will be T-Rat first, and then who's next?
and then Art.
And then Art. Okay.
No, wait. For our team only, right?
For your
Yeah.
team, yes, for sure.
It will be Neil, which is Girard, and then Patch, and then me.
Okay, wait up. So there will be T-Rat, and then there will be second T-Rat, which is the Art, and then there will be Pep, and who's closing?
Art.
Okay.
I'm doing the closing, and Patch is doing two of the rebuttal round.
Aha, I see. Okay, that's good. So you have Pep for number 2 and 3, and then Art will do the closing round. That's great.
Yes.
Okay, cool. What about team 9? Who debate first?
Me.
GG. Grace, are you okay? You look super sleepy and you okay, right? You in Thailand? Are you're in the state in Thailand? It seems like you're up like 9 a.m. like Pet. Okay, so GG first. Wait up. So GG is Premikas, right? First,
Yeah.
and then following by
Me.
Nino.
And
Following by
then
Nino,
it's Boy.
and then it's
It's
Pui.
Boy. And then Gigi will be the person who's closing.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me just get the orders. And GG will also do the closing. That's great. Okay, cool. So the topic is capitalism is leading force to change the world into more sustainable economy than socialist economy. Gerard, if you're ready, the floor is yours, man. You got 5 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Let's do it,
So,
man.
good morningครับ everyone. So when I first got into the topic of capitalism is a leading force into changing the world into more sustainable economy than socialist, I started everything by researching the definition of capitalism, which is a political system in which country trade and industry are controlled by the private owner for profit. This means that capitalism economy basically influence competition, making business try to become most efficient and try to gain most profit as possible. Whereas the socialist citizen in socialist economy rely on government for everything from food to healthcare. So after knowing some basic definition for both terms, to be able to debate with fact and to find way to measure benefit for both terms, I researched and actually found a theory of law of energy conservation theory, which explains how sustainability is measured by the level of energy being used to bring out the usefulness of something, of the raw material. So let me give you some more context to this. All material things such as food, gasoline, plastic, and steel are just a highly concentrated form of energy. Matter can be converted into energy using, as in eating food or burning gasoline. And energy can be changed into form to create usefulness from the raw material, as in using heat to make electricity and electricity into producing light. So basically, sustainability is measured by the amount of energy being used to bring out the usefulness of something. So now, after knowing how to measure sustainability and knowing the definition of both terms, let me now start telling you why capitalism will benefit. So as we now live in 2020, many governments across the world have already claimed to help build environmental policy and create many rules and regulations relating to making environmental sustainable. Therefore, based on definition from Encyclopedia, that sustainability development is a theory to meet this generation without compromising the ability of future generation, and that sustainability is measured by the level of energy being used to produce something. Capitalism will benefit as capitalism is a market in which they will try anyway to become the most efficient while trying to use the least amount of energy in order to make the most profit in the market, right? Don't get me wrong, making the most profit doesn't mean that there will become more waste or the business will become not sustainable. As I already mentioned, the government already set rules and regulation related to that. In fact, the rules of National Pollution Prevention Policy was created since 1992 and still are being used today and still are being developing in order to create the most sustainable economy for the future. Furthermore, in today's society, demand are also based on marketing and branding. Capitalism market need to follow rules and regulation and also try to become sustainable and economic friendly in order to sell the product and stay alive in the market. If not, your demand will decline significantly and there will become many news and controversial related to that. For example, when the demand of H&M sank rapidly in 2018, when there were news related to them using child labor. This come to the conclusion that business, capitalism, nor socialism need to follow rules and regulation related to sustainability. Therefore, capitalism market will bring more benefit as capitalism market will try every way in order to gain the most profit in the most efficient and energy-saving way to stay alive in the market, while also promoting competition and growth, whereas socialist people tend to become demotivated and mostly lack growth in the market as everything is regulated by the community and government as a whole, with lesser motivation factor than capitalism. Therefore, energy are being wasted, meaning not being used sustainably. So in conclusion, as everything is based on government policy and rules and regulation, capitalism will always benefit more as they will try every way in order to become more efficient, meaning they will follow rules and regulation while consuming lesser energy than socialist market. Thank you,ครับ
All right. It's quite a decent opening statement there. So basically, freedom versus highly regulated or structured economies, right? The next team will be team 9, which is Gigi will open the statement, right? Okay, Gigi, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
So as New Gerard mentioned that capitalism leads to competition, but when capitalists talk about competition, they don't mean healthy rivals or the constructive competition of ideas in science and art. These are things that would still exist under socialism. They mean the destructive competition between businesses for profit. They claim that entrepreneurs, capitalists who invest in new areas, are the drivers of new ideas because of their constant search for profit. But the most important driver of progress that capitalism has created is the working class. So I take this opportunity to present my views against the motion. It is clear to me that capitalism's flaws and failures are the basic stimulus to which socialism is the response. This is because socialism is a movement that recognizes capitalism's failed promises. For example, the promise of liberty, equality, fraternity, and democracy. These were the promises that were first made by capitalism, but they were never delivered. Socialism is a notion that we can do better than capitalism. Socialism is a system that doesn't divide people, but rather makes work a democratic process where all employees have an equal say and together are their own employer. Let's start by refining the definition of a sustainable economy. By definition, a sustainable economy is one that is resilient, provides a good quality of life for everybody, stays within the limits of the planet, and helps reduce global warming. Socialism that I present to you today can achieve all three things: equality, better environment, better control of resources and production. I would like to emphasize on the point of equality. COVID-19 is a prime example of why a socialism system is needed. We all have seen a major collapse due to COVID-19 as people around the world suffer from the health and economic impacts of the pandemic. According to a study conducted by International Monetary Fund, 120 million people have been pushed into extreme poverty and a massive global recession as a result. Not everyone has the luxury to stay home, but reduced income of family members to support them would create a tendency to further worsen food and nutritional security around the world. Contrastingly, billionaires have actually seen their fortunes expand during this COVID period. According to the Institute for Policy Studies analysis of Forbes data, the combined wealth of all US billionaires increased by 1.76 trillion between March 18, 2020 and July 9, 2021. Moreover, the richest five, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Larry Ellison, and Elon Musk, saw an 113% increase in their combined wealth during this period. COVID-19 further highlights the problems of inequality that our society is currently facing. There needs to be an improvement to this. As Martin Luther King once said, call it democracy or call it democratic socialism, but there must be a better distribution of wealth within this country. So how can socialism improve this problem? Equality, I believe, can be achieved through socialism because it favors a more equal distribution of wealth and income within society. According to a study from Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, workers in most socialist countries earn higher incomes work per hour compared to, for example, a capitalist country such as the United States, where the richest 1% own more wealth than the bottom 90%. We also find that equality among workers is much higher in the more socialist countries. In such countries, earnings are compressed between the top and the bottom and between genders. This empowers the individuals from the shackles of the capitalist system. In a socialism system, there is a redistribution of wealth through tax and spending policies that aim to reduce economic inequalities. On the spending side, a set of social policies typically provides free access to public services such as education, healthcare, and childcare. Additionally, subsidized access to housing, food, pharmaceutical goods, water, electricity. Hence, this system provides a safety net for every single member of the society, providing them with the equality that they deserve. A society which has equality of opportunity and limited inequality is likely to be more cohesive. If people perceive that they live in a very unequal society exploited by monopolistic employers and earning significantly less than their bosses, such as in a capitalist system, it can lead to frustration and resentment. But in a socialism system, as I propose, if everyone feels they have a fair stake in society, it can help create a more harmonious society where workers are committed to the success of the firm in which they work in, increasing the overall productivity. According to OECD, democratic socialist countries such as Norway has the third highest productivity per hours behind the two tax haven countries. Other socialist leading countries like Denmark, Sweden, and Finland also score high. This is proof that a well-built socialism environment results in more productive and sustainable economic growth. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, that's great. Lots of data there. That's good. I really like the data. That means you're doing a lot of homework. Okay, guys. Those who listen to the YouTube channels, I'm already sent you a voting form for the topic 4, round 1. You got 2 minutes to vote. Again, the teams that are debating, you don't have to vote for yourself. All right, let other people judge you. Let other people give you a score on which side do they like. Okay. So next up for team 12 is Pitch, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Let's Let's wait for another minute for them to vote. Bob, will you wake up a little bit? Hopefully, yeah. All right, 30 seconds to go. All right, cool. That's it. Let me just close the vote. Let's close the vote so I can unsend the things. Next up is Mr. Peps for the support team. If you're ready, the floor is yours, man.
All right. So after hearing the introduction, we're not here to decide which political system is the superior political system, but rather which political system is a better fit for sustainable development. Now, firstly, we must understand the underlying purpose of a political system. The purpose of a political system is to create a set of normative and ethical values that prescribes the maximum amount of happiness to a certain number of people. This system was created based on human nature because it is happiness which creates hope, and humans would be nothing without hope. Now, hope is what drives and motivates people to achieve goals they set out to. Goals such as helping the world or, doing great things, being successful, and so on. A psychologist by the name of Charles Snyder said that hope and happiness creates empathy. Therefore, hope is really the catalyst for sustainable development. I would like to say thank you to the opposing team for being so predictable. But if they had done their research, they would know that equality does not lead to happiness. If you take a look at the Gini index and the Lorenz curve, which is the coefficient of inequality, and the extent to which the extent measure of inequality, if you take a look at the data and the economic graphs, you tend to find that countries with a higher Gini index and a deeper Lorenz curve, which is more inequality, are actually happier. And why is that? It's due to hope. Now, to answer our debate topic, essentially, capitalism incentivizes, whereas communism de-incentivizes. In capitalism, you're free to compete, to think, and free to live. Whereas in communism, you either obey by the system or you face the consequence of disobeying the system. Even though the inequality gap is smaller in socialistic countries, how can they be truly happy? And how can they have faith and hope in the future? Now, the economic theory that will drive sustainable development is Adam Smith's theory of the invisible hand. It describes the unintended greater social benefits and public good brought out by individuals acting in their own self-interest. The invisible hand relies on people being selfless and empathetic towards others. This drives innovations and solutions for society and this world. Without hope and happiness, one cannot be empathetic and selfless. Therefore, sustainable development would be highly unlikely in a communistic society. Communistic society tends to be very myopic because, life is a game of competition. And, when you're working so hard and every penny is divided equally, it just, there's no incentive to do well or to do anything, really. Sustainable development is also a luxury. You cannot think about sustainable development when you haven't profit or live comfortably yourself. It's like, imagine if you're poor, you have no money, you wouldn't want to have a child. I would say it's the same for sustainable development. It's truly a luxury. Yeah, that's it.
All right, that's great. Okay, that's good. So we're not here to judge, right? I like your statement, man. I mean, but we are here to select which one is fit more into the context of sustainable development, right? That's good part you bring it up. Inequality doesn't mean happiness, and also life is a game of competition. That's gonna bring a lot of heat into into the statement pitch. But that's great. Okay. Next up, which will be team nine of Nino, right?
ครับ
Okay. Big job to do. If you're ready, the floor is yours, man.
So from your point about hope and how the socialist is a controlled environment. So the freedom provided in a capitalist society has led to the increase of unemployment, and there's slums and ghetto where people who are unemployed and do not have the required education or the facility to support their well-being. And this is a waste of labor and to make the economy better. The lack of facility causes water contamination and disease like blood, diarrhea, malaria, and etc. On the other hand, in a socialist economy, there's no such thing as unemployment. The society is using their full human resource at their full capacity. This also means the well-being of the people is much better. Um, Moving on from my rebuttal, I would like to explain why socialism is more sustainable than capitalism in terms of the environment. Since the government have absolute control over the energy production and any operation that contributes to environmental impact, they will be able to make necessary changes that will allow them to change into a more sustainable and be able to make necessary change that will allow the change into more sustainable. On the contrary, since capitalism has always been perceived as a free world in which the corporates have the liberty to operate within the rules of law, the fact that the society elites have always been on the top of the chain will allow these big corporations to be able to bend the law by will. As a result, much less sustainable for the society to control the pollution output. Hence, it deteriorates the environment much faster. Moving on from this point, I want to talk about the limitation or restriction that exists in capitalism. For example, if a big company has achieved a certain way to produce more environmental friendly products, they will certainly leverage this as a means to attract consumers into purchasing products. Therefore, the competition will not be able to achieve similar production method as big companies, which monopolize the production method and further delay the shift toward a more sustainable production. Moreover, according to the UN, there are currently more than 20 million climate refugees. If the global temperature rises more than 2 degrees, it is estimated that the number will grow to 280 million. Air pollution caused by vehicle and industrial production in large cities kills 9 million people a year. In socialism, however, there's no competition among corporations as the government have absolute control over them. In socialism, the government will be able to achieve environmental justice as they could support the fair trade system. A fair trade system is a system partnership based on dialogue, transparency, and respect that seek greater equity in international trade. Members of the fair trade movement add the payment of higher prices to exporters as well as improved social and environmental standards. As a result, it empowers labor workers because they are being prioritized during the trade in contrast to free trade that privilege the property rights of corporations, investors, and speculators over the human rights and nature. Furthermore, socialism allows for a much more rapid shift toward cleaner practice in the renewable energy and can create millions of domestic jobs. Those should be living wages, union job hiring, and training disadvantaged worker. Hence, publicly owned or cooperative utilities would be more accountable, affordable, and sustainable. In conclusion, not only that socialism can lead to better environment in terms of externalities, but also empower the people in the economy, which are the goals towards a more sustainable economy.
All right. Thank you, Dino. So you didn't touch much on the pet statement, but did you bring up new topics on environment and others? It's fine. Okay, so the vote is up now. Guys who watching the YouTube, please vote for the second round of the 4 topics today. Next up will be pets again, right? With 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 Kun Grace. Grace, are you ready? Not your pop with or Grace. Grace. Okay, I can't hear you.
Oh, you want me to go now?
No. Wait up, wait up. Let them vote first. We have another like a minute and 10 seconds to go. I just chit chat now. So you still in Paris, Fred? Seems like 9 a.m. is a bit too early for you guys, right? Okay. All right. So it's 2 minutes now. Let's close the vote. Okay. Meaning, let's close the vote. I will unsend the things, and then if you're ready, Pet, the third round is yours.
Okay.
Go ahead, man.
So it's funny how Nino talked about no competition as being a good thing, and transparency, all that, like saying like the world is beautiful and ideal, but it's completely bullshit because the only factor that drives innovation is competition, because humans are naturally selfish and we're always seeking for self gains, and this type of selfishness is what has driven the world into the place it is now. It's due to all the individual selfishness, which creates competition within a population. Now, as I said before, life is all about a game. You're born into a circumstance, and it's up to you to build yourself to be rich, successful, or whatever. That's the people who win the game. The people who are poor, then they've lost the game. Competition drives each and product to adapt and change to fit the market every day. All the products they have to get better and better in order to survive in the market. But in socialistic countries, there's a lack of competition, therefore a lack of incentive to improve. It takes away this natural competition which is embedded within the human DNA. Socialistic leaders would only invest in products or people that they think would work in the future. And I mean, it is an efficient means of cutting noise, but realistically, you can never know if something will work or not. Therefore, winning over customers is the best way to strive. But with socialistic countries, you're trying to win the approval of higher officials, which really leads to corruption. I mean, this is truly why the world views communism as such an unstable political system. There's less trust from other countries to socialistic countries. It is really clear when you look at the foreign investments from other countries to socialistic countries. You look at North Korea, and they only had 110 million USD of foreign investment in 2019, which is practically nothing when you compare it to South Korea, who had 9.6 billion in foreign investment in 2019. Now, that's 10 times more than the foreign investment of a socialistic country. Or another example would be Belarus, who only had $209 million in foreign investment. I would say this is such a huge opportunity cost because foreign investment isn't all about receiving investment, money, whatever, but it's also about the ideas, creativity, skills, and other means supporting the country, which is exactly what Adam Smith said in his book, The Wealth of Nations. Now, another point is that communism could only support sustainable development if it had a good leader, which none of the socialistic countries have a good leader, apart from China. But China's not really a fully socialistic country, because it's truly semi-quasi political system where it's communistic in their policies, but very capitalistic in the market and business wise. You have to understand the psychology and motivations behind politicians. Politicians, they're only motivated by political gain, whether it's popularity, friends, money, power, and so on. It causes politicians to be very myopic in their visions and goals. This means that they're not able to make the hard decisions and the right decisions that they need to make, whether like people will hate them or not. But they don't do it because their only goal is to be re-elected in the future and stay in power. This is the natural greed of human and greed and desires, which are embedded in our DNA. Now, anyone who's leading a socialistic country is bound to make decisions based on his desires and his irrationality. Their goal is to keep everyone happy so that no one could blame them for it. Now, the only leader that would be fit for a communistic country would be the leader of China, Xi Jinping, who is not motivated by desires, but he is literally in the 99th percentile of leaders. Therefore, Democrat would win 99 times out of 100. Yeah, thank you.
All right, cool. Nice. I think Pet's bring up like quite a couple of interesting points. Like I mentioned in the class that in international trade or in foreign investment are one of the key elements on how to bring the country to be more sustainable, right? And also the good, not a good point, but interesting point is like he claimed that none of the socialistic country has a good leader except China. Okay. Let's hear out from the team 9 whether what do they have in counter of those statements. So
Can
Bob,
you
if you're
hear
ready,
me?
I can hear
Can
you
you hear
now.
me?
Go ahead. Okay.
So the points that you have stated are valid, but have you ever considered that the principle of the capitalist competition is defeat and death of some competitors, victory and domination of others? But the principle of socialist emulation is that the advanced workers should render comradely assistance to those who lag behind in order to advance together. This is oversimplification served a definite purpose. So moving on from my rebuttals. Capitalist markets promote monopolies in which innovation is not encouraged. The only profits are the goal. In contrast, socialism is not there to maximize profits, but rather to satisfy the population as much as possible. As Oscar Lange has stated in the book On the Economic Theory of Socialism, 1928, page 75, the decisions of the managers of production are no longer guided by the aim of maximizing profit. Instead, certain rules are imposed on them by the Central Planning Board, which aim at satisfying consumers' preferences in the best way possible. Centralized planning from the government can lead to a more efficient system due to regulations and practices. Social democratic country like Norway has a long tradition of using national policy targets combined with regulations and economic incentives. Agreements between branch and the government on producer responsibility have promoted efficient waste management and product optimization for packaging, waste electrical and electronic equipment, and PCB containing glazing units. And taxes have encouraged recycling and established a market for waste. As an example, Norway's central national targets have stated that the growth in the total quantity of waste shall be considerably lower than the growth in the economy, and that the recycling rate, including energy recovery, shall be at least 80%, and that hazardous waste shall be handled responsibly, and that the amount of hazardous waste shall be reduced by 2020 compared to 2005. Today, Norway's national target is that growth in the quantity of waste generated will be considerably lower than the rate of economic growth, and the resources in waste will be used as fully as possible through recycling and energy recovery. Norway has furthermore stated that at least 67.5% of Norway's energy consumption shall be based on renewable sources by 2020. Due to Norwegian central planning, companies who wish to operate inside the country must abide by the rules and regulations of Norway, making them more efficient in using and managing resources during production. The Norwegian Environmental Agency organizes stakeholder forums intended for discussion of environmental issues. The Waste Management Forum includes waste management companies, non-governmental organizations, and regional and national authorities. The Norwegian Environmental Agency also arranges stakeholder meetings in collaboration with the Federation of Norwegian Industries to discuss environmental issues of particular interest for a variety of industrial companies. Public consultations are an integral part of the process when policies and regulations are being developed or revised, and take place through the Norwegian Environmental Agency website. Although not all solutions are acknowledged by the government, this is where the general public plays a part. Interest groups are one of the ways for the general public to push the government for a more efficient distribution of resources and production policy. What are interest groups? They are members from the general public that are interested in pushing the government to act. First, forming an interest group and collecting contributions must be completely costless, so that the free rider problems are circumvented. In this case, all groups that have a common interest will form. Second, there should be no resource cost by lobbying the government. That is, interest groups should be able to simply vote for the policies they want. If both of these conditions hold, efficient outcomes are then simply created because the interest groups that put a higher value on a policy will vote more for it.
Okay, that's a decent reading session from Paul. Okay, all right. I just put the vote for topic 4, round 3. Then you get 2 minutes to vote. I also in the YouTube channel I also put a link to the Oxford Handbook that gives you a pretty comprehensive overview on political economy, how it starts from Adam Smith into what we are now. It's only like 20-something pages of reading, but I think it gives you a good view on the evolution of political economy, which I believe has certainly have a strong influence on both capitalism's and socialism's economy. If you're happy with reading, I have certainly couple of more books that relate to political economies, and I think that is something that really drive the worlds we are now. All right. Okay. 1 more minute to vote. Then we have a closing person from team 12, which is going to be Art, and then the closing statement person will be Premika from team 9. Art, you ready?
Yes.
Is it too early for you?
No, it's not.
No?
No.
Okay, it's fun though. I really like this topic. There are a lot of contradiction between two sides, and to me personally, I think it's will be very difficult to sort of like judge whether which one is better. I mean, what Pet mentioned is it's right in the sense of like what's right innovation is competition. I mean, people want innovate anything if they don't have any competitor to win. So and okay, I think the time is up now, so I will unsend the message and Pininka, please close the board. Art, you need to close it strong. The teammate did pretty well in the first couple of rounds, and let's do the strong closing stuff. All right, if you're ready, the floor is yours, man. 5 minutes.
So, free market societies require excellent business practices. If you do not treat your fellow man with the best of intentions, if you do not follow sustainable business practices, and if you do not responsibly manage your resources, consumers have the option to leave for a competitor. You will have a surplus of goods with no buyers, and your business will fail. It is the best interest of everyone to do business well. Believing that corporations and the market will do well is not an idealist fantasy of the right. It that corporations and the market will do it happens every day. Sorry. Delta Airlines works with the Nature Conservancy to voluntarily offset carbon emissions. Patagonia recently saved $10 million through tax cuts and plan to donate that sum to conservation and charity organizations. Companies are able to do this because they make profit and feel responsibility to their consumers, who are demographic made up widely of hikers, hunters, and others who enjoy outdoor recreation. Pan- Patagonia understand that stewardship and conservations are key components to their business, and they are willing to invest their own funds to maintain the amenities their customer base so utilizes. These corporate sustainability practices are simply not possible under socialism. Under capitalism, there's an incentive to stretch your resources and to make with less and therefore stretching what you have without creating waste. Businesses are then able to invest profits back into their product and scale up as the market demands. No natural incentive exists under socialism because the conservation of resources serves no direct benefit to production. Additionally, those who consume resources have no responsibility to those who are most impacted by consumption. As a result, excessive product is often produced to the point where there is no longer a demand, which in turn drives up the cost of goods to make up for lost resources. While capitalism may have bad reputation for driving consumer consumerism and always wanting more, and more, the inverse is actually true. Capitalism does not cause consumption. It can only respond to it without a market demand to guide socialist central planners. Such a check does not aid socialism in the same way. In the end, capitalism in the context of sustainability is a conceptual form of capitalism regarding sustainable practices which are implemented to preserve humanity and the planet while also reducing externalities and bearing a resemblance of capitalist economic policy. It is a market of survival of the fittest. Every company or firm would work as hard as possible to become number one and create a profitable return of their own investment. A sustainable economy must be based on a fundamental different paradigm of living systems. Living things by nature are self-making, self-renewing, reproductive, and regenerative. They must be they must have the natural capacity to capture, organize, and store energy to support other living organisms organisms. Yes. Obviously, an individual life is not sustainable because every living thing eventually dies. But communities and societies of living individuals clearly have the capacity and natural propensity to be productive, while devoting a significant part of their life's energy to conceiving and nurturing the next generation. A solution that will lead to a free market into a more sustainable economy is a regenerative capitalism. An economy based on regenerative capitalism will see profound changes to regulations, norms, and institutions that govern markets. It will see a systematic transformation that would trigger a wave of exponential change, having a positive impact on both people and the planet. It aims to take account of social and environmental costs and benefits to ensure that these are reflected in the price of goods and service, as well as incorporate profit and loss statements, capital expense, and market valuations. This is a push factor towards sustainable innovations and leads to free market properly valuing and rewarding sustainable business practices. A vision of capitalism that seeks overall value rather than just monetary value in love with the economy for the common good will be the leading force to change the world into a sustainable economy. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Art. Be careful of your words, right? You can't mix organism organizations, right? All right, okay. Premika, Gigi, are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's close strong. The floor is yours. Go ahead.
I would like to emphasize that today we are here to debate about economic sustainability. If capitalism is motivated by wealth building rather than the social good, how could it possibly be the basis for a sustainable economic environment? I understand that, as Art stated, that capitalism can help build a sustainable economy, but their motivation and push factor behind it is profit. So, how could it possibly be as efficient as a socialism system whose main goal is the betterment of the environment and everyone? Our team strongly believes that socialism can achieve what capitalism can. A sustainable economy requires a system in which production is democratically planned and controlled by well informed people. This can be accomplished through socialism. To summarize our first point of equality, socialism's goal is to create equality in both opportunity and outcome. This can help solve world issues of healthcare, housing, and poverty. In comparison, capitalism cannot achieve this kind of equality. It creates clear winners and losers because the means of productions are in private hands. Those who own them not only accumulate a disproportionate share of wealth, but have the power to suppress the rights of those they employ. Take, for example, the USA, which is ranked #1 largest economy in the world by a GDP of $20,800 billion. You would think that it is providing for its people. However, according to CBS News, 4 in 10 Americans are struggling to pay for their basic needs, such as groceries or housing. That is the result of capitalism, that kind of distribution. Socialism, on the other hand, can help reduce the disparity between classes, between the rich and the poor. It can create a more even distribution of wealth via progressive taxation, a welfare state upon universal benefits, and a system of comprehensive education, all to help achieve a more equal society. To summarize our second point of environment, socialism offers a way of living that isn't dominated by profit, greed, exploitation, ever-increasing wasteful production, and environmental damage. The real democratic running of society, where people have control over economic decisions, would make a big difference. We can all say that under capitalism, the modern day economy takes resources from the environment and turns almost all of it into waste, either byproducts of making commodities or as the end of the line for the goods themselves. Capitalism tries to avoid the responsibility of the damage it does to the environment. It pushes the cost onto others and now into the future. With socialism, we contribute to saving the environment. The economy would be organized to meet people's needs for now and the future, so environments would be protected. And to summarize our last point of better control of resource and production, socialist economy features social rather than private ownership of the means of production. Shared ownership of resources allow for a more equal distribution of goods and services. On the other hand, a capitalist system of production of goods and services is based upon supply and demand in the general market. This does not guarantee that each person's basic needs in the society will be met. In a socialist society, basic needs are met. A socialist system's primary benefit is that people living under it are given a social safety net. Therefore, basic necessities are provided. The government itself can produce the goods people require to meet their needs, even if the production of those goods does not result in profit. Under socialism, there is more room for value judgments, with less attention paid to the calculations involving profit and nothing but profit. So let me end the debate today by asking everyone, do you really think that a system like capitalism, which prioritizes profit over social good, natural resources, and the environment, and for being an engine for inequality, and economic instabilities. Do you really think that this kind of system can provide a sustainable economy versus a socialism system, which the means of production are owned by society itself and are utilized in a planned fashion, a planned economy which adjusts production to the needs of a community, and a system which focuses on the betterment of everyone and the betterment of the environment? Thank you.
Okay. Let's hang it there for 4 minutes. Let me just put on the vote form into the group line. Please do vote. We have 2 minutes, right? Okay, it's been fun, and I think it's good topics to debate, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure there's been debating around this topic like for 10, 20 years now already. One thing that you might need to do is to probably be a little bit do more clarification on what is socialism mean, what is capitalism mean. I mean, it's always have like those school of thought who drive those patterns and influence the economic patterns in each particular countries, right? If you look at I hear a lot of things on Sweden, Norway, and those Scandinavian countries, right? I think it's what we call they use something what we call a Nordic system, which underpinned by a mixed market capitalist economic system that has a lot of degree on private ownership, right? Except Norway. So I'm not very sure that this is can be regarded. I mean, if we consider those state-owned enterprises or the way they highly regulated as socialism, I'm not very sure though. But it's been a good point that you guys bring it. Let's take good photos together. Look at the cameras. Give me a big smile. Big smile. All right. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. That's great. Okay. Thank you, guys. Good to see you guys. Hopefully to see you guys again in person next semester. Right. Take care, man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you, crap.
For the guys back home, the vote is closed now. So bye. I unsend the things and Pinnin can certainly close the vote. All right. Now we are for the second topic, which is social media is helping the world more than NGOs. No offense to both sides. It's just a good topic for us to probably concentrate with now. We have team 3 as a support teams, and we have team 11 for the opposed team. Hello, team 3. Team 3, we have Beam, Pasakon, and Kirana. Okay, we have team 11, which have Nat, Valapas, and Fong. Okay, good. So who's go up? Like who's first for team? Let's do team 3 first.
Team 3, I'm gonna be going first.
Are you sure? Okay, that's good. So Pasakon will go first, and then following by.
I believe Namki, then Beam.
Okay, Kirana, right? Okay, and then Kirana, and then Beam, right?
Yeah.
Which is Chotipat, yeah? Oh.
Yeah. Oh, I have to use my real name. Oh, wait.
It's okay. It's okay. And you have Kitima as well, right?
Yeah.
Where's Kitima?
1 second.
Oh, Kitima is here. Thank God. Hi, Kitima. How are you?
I'm good.
You should be. So you're the closing person for the team 3, right? Okay, that's great.
Yes.
What about team 11? Who's first?
I'll go first.
You go first. Who's
Yes.
eyeing? Oh, okay, Walapa. Okay, Walapa go first, and then following by
Me.
me is the Frank, eh?
Yeah.
Porn Rat. Okay, I didn't know your real name. I just know you by Frank. Okay, and next Goki or not?
Me. Koki.
So Goki, right? Okay. Happy birthday, Goki.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
All the best to
Oh
you,
my
man.
god, happy birthday. Happy
Okay.
birthday.
We will sing a song later on after this debate, right? We will sing happy birthday song for you, all right? Just to make your life more
Thank you.
cheerful. And then we're closing the topic today with Nat, right? Okay, that's great. So the topic is social media against NGO. Interesting. If Pasakon ready, are you ready? I will ask you one more time. Are you sure you want 5 minutes to prepare more? No?
I'm ready.
Okay, cool. So if you're ready, the floor is yours. I got 5 minutes. Just spend time wisely. Go ahead, man.
So, social media has changed the world. Many good impacts have been created and boosted by influence of exchange of information via online communities. If we look at the economic opportunity of people, many jobs have been created by companies all over the world hiring people to operate their online presences. The average base salary of a social media manager in the US is $71,000. If we compare that to the 2020 median household income of $67,000, we can see that jobs created in this industry pay relatively well compared to the whole market. People can also earn a living by finding freelance opportunities online. Using social media to find customers, they can expand their customer base to not just the people they know, but everyone on these platforms. Furthermore, content creators can use social medias platforms such as Instagram or YouTube to make a profit out of their created work, allowing them to make a living out of the materials they produce. Creators such as Mark Rober has not only been able to create content to make money for himself, but has also created content to help world combat issues like climate change and water pollution. And lastly, job finding social media, such as LinkedIn, have provided better opportunities for people to find jobs they are interested in, increasing overall job satisfaction for both the employer and employee. Overall, these factors have overall increased the economic opportunities of people to be able to grow and has increased the ability for people to choose what they want to do. My second point is social media helps NGOs form more effectively. Social media offers NGOs a chance to move away from one-way communications and more to a two-way communication in which they can interact with, listen to, and engage other stakeholders. This will help NGOs. They can better identify the current situation and be able to adapt to the changing world. Social media also helps NGOs by connecting people to their message and differentiate their organization from the crowd. In fact, in 2006, total online giving in the US reached over 10 billion US dollars. This means that social media has helped the growth of NGOs. Without the help that social media provides, NGOs will have less impact and will gain lower funding with fewer people knowing about the organization. And they will be less effective as they will have fewer opportunities to gain insight from other stakeholders from two-way communication. And my last point is about social media helped with social change. Social media gives a voice to people with no access to traditional media distribution. Before the wide adoption of social media, a lot of information was distributed through traditional forms of communication like newspapers or news channels, limiting most information to come out of a small group of people. Nowadays, people who have a social media account, which is a larger number of people, are able to voice their opinions and contribute to a collaborative conversation towards social issues. Social media also highlights issues and different perspectives with what is happening in the world. As more people can contribute to a problem, more variety of opinions can be expressed, and people can gain a wider understanding of how to solve the problem. These factors have made light of certain issues that were not discussed before, and also given people a better rounded understanding of the problems in the world. And these are all reasons why social media is beneficial to the world. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. That's quite a decent performance from Pascagon, which exceed my expectations. Just kidding. You're doing right. You're doing fine. You're good. You're good. Okay. Um, next team up is Kitima. Are you ready, Kitima? Oh no,
It's
I
me.
forgot. My bad. It's Walapa. Sorry.
Yes.
It's too early for me too. Okay, so Walapa, if you're ready, the post team leader, not leader, the first one up. The floor is yours. Got 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Before I get started, I would like to give some characteristics of NGOs and governments. NGOs are differentiated from governments by their goal and mandates. However, collaboration is one of the successful factors since NGOs are more flexible. They can take risks and fail, but governments can't. Collaboration is key because no organization can be entirely successful on their own. Collaboration enhances greater expansion and more creative solutions. So I would say that NGOs can help empower government somehow because they can take risks. That's something that government can take. And many successful cases illustrate the successful impacts from NGO because there is some healthcare CSR programs that are the successful NGO activities. So government can benefit despite the fact that they can provide only the relevant information and they don't have to put that much effort on the projects. And moreover that people might have different definition of helping the world. Maybe they will say that it's all about raising awareness, convince government and institutions to make changes. For example, WHO is one of the most effective NGO organizations in the world because they can empower governments by their statements. Boosting economy, solving social or environmental problems, or even protecting and helping vulnerable groups of peoples. Before I get deeper, NGO label is given to organizations operating on an international level. Although some countries classify their own civil society groups as NGOs, but NGOs play a critical part in developing society, improving communities, and promoting citizen participation as well. So, how different between social media and NGOs? Social media platforms serve their stakeholders and investors, and somehow they are all for some profit. But NGOs are created specifically to solve humanitarian and social problems. So I would like to disagree with the first speaker from support team that he said that social media may open up a few job opportunities. These opportunities are only available to those with certain privileges. So what do I mean? I mean that people who can access social media have to have the devices and internet connection. So these job opportunities that be able to access seems that people have to have the resources that they can access to social media. So this means that this for people who are already privileged. And content created on social media may turn to harm vulnerable people. For example, fast fashion, because some clips on TikTok, YouTube, or any social media. This has enabled young people to do the same thing. They just buy the clothes, wear once, and they just throw them away. And who take these things? People and children who working in sweatshops and unregulated factories, child labor. They have to keep up with this rapidly expanding fast fashion market, which was brought about by social media. And I can support this with my statements because NGOs actually take action. Social awareness alone cannot solve problems. Systematically organized strategies by NGOs can solve this. NGOs are helping the world during COVID-19 while people enjoy spreading the news about COVID-19 on social media. NGOs are fighting for people's welfare. Women protection and action groups, or WPAGs, in these areas are well placed to share accurate and rapid information about COVID-19 throughout their communities. Since the accessibility of social media in developing countries is lower. So spreading all the information to the community will get higher rate of awareness. So there will be less inequality in the society. And NGOs also promote sustainable community development because they assisting people at a community level. In Bangladesh, Action Aid is helping people with providing COVID-19 and providing COVID-19 awareness, and women lead teams of Action Aid is spreading information and also delivering food and other essential items such as masks, sanitizer, and hand washing stations. And they can also provide professional help because some cases may need specialists and professionals to solve or mitigate the issues. For example, doctors across borders, nurses, environmentalists, and scientists. And social media does not have the power to secure and unite these individuals for a certain cause, as only as NGOs can. So I would like to against that social media is not that helping the world more than NGOs. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Good stuff from both. Guy back home, I already put the voting stuff into the group line. So please, you have 2 minutes to vote. Again, for you teams who is debating now, you don't have to vote for yourself. Where is Pasagon? Why you turn off your camera?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Are you sure we can't vote for ourselves? I'm joking. That's a joke. Totally.
Okay. That's not a joke for me. Sorry. I take it seriously, man. Goki, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. The beach is nice. Too bad I don't have a chance to go down. Have to work like 7 days. But this is your birthday, right? You're supposed to get drunk since you wake up until you're passed out, So,
How do you know today is my birthday?
dude, I know everything.
Oh, okay.
No,
When's my birthday?
what? This is your birthday too?
No, I'm asking you when's my birthday since you know everything. I'm joking.
I'll let you know. Let me just think about it first. Let me ask my spy. Okay. Now it's 2 minutes, so I close the round. Pin Club, let's close the form. Next up is team 3, which is Kirana. Are you ready? Okay. You're freezing. Okay, you're not freezing now. Okay, that's great. Okay. So you get 5 minutes, right? Let's spend the time wisely, okay? Don't try to read everything, please. Think about it. Think more. Okay. If you're ready, the floor is yours. Go ahead. You're muted. Hello.
Okay.
See,
Sorry.
you see, Pasakon, you should inform your teammates. Turn on the microphone.
I was going to grab, but you did a quicker job at it
Too
than I
bad.
could.
Too bad. sorry. I'm just kidding. Brianna, the floor is yours. 5 minutes. Go ahead.
As the second speaker, I will elaborate on the fact that social media is helping the world more than NGOs. But before I come up with my own argument, let's have a look on what the previous speaker has said. From what you mentioned earlier, you said that job opportunities from social media are only available to those of certain privilege. I would say that the number of people who use social media, or what you call those of certain privilege, is over 4.5 billion. According to the research, it also found that the social network has created 4.5 million jobs around the world and added 2,000 billion dollars to the global economy, while NGOs can only give money or provide a short-term assistance, such as donating items to the poor or victims. And this is not the right way to solve the root causes. It is true that NGOs are non-profit by definition. However, social media or even some businesses which gain benefits from society can also help the world. For example, Facebook Safety Check, which allows users in disaster zones to mark themselves as safe. We have seen many examples of how social media and digital communication morally are helping respond to disaster and this world. The previous speaker also mentioned that NGOs are fighting for people during COVID-19 while people enjoy spreading the news on social media. But in fact, social media is helping the public learn everything there is to know about the COVID-19 during this difficult time. News on social media always spreads like wildfire, which is particularly beneficial now. Your news feed on every platform is probably swamped with information about COVID-19. And that's how many people heard about virus for the first time and learned about the symptoms and safety measures. And that's how we are constantly reminded about the crucial importance of basic hygiene and social distancing. The first opposition speaker has told us that NGOs can provide professional help while social media does not have the power to secure these individuals as easily as NGOs can. That's not true. With the rise of social media allows us to communicate with anyone, even expert in different fields. For example, in the medical field, technology has been introduced such as online doctor visiting via Skype, allowing us to see a doctor faster without having to wait for a longer period of time. Let me come to my arguments. It is important to point that NGOs often lack of technical and organizational capacity to implement and fulfill their mission, and few are willing or able to invest in training of capacity building. Weak capacity affects like fundraising ability, governance, leadership, and technical areas. Moreover, many NGOs find it difficult to garner sufficient and continuous funding for their work. Getting access to appropriate donors is a major component of this challenge. The NGOs might suffer from general lack of projects. Most of the time, approximately 95% of the NGOs close because their inability to raising funds for the organization. As we know that NGOs provide a tiny amount of aid compared to government, this relative lack of funding means that NGO can only do a limited amount compared to bigger official agencies. NGOs cannot help to bring about industrialization or serious economic growth, like only help small local communities with social development. It also found that NGOs spend much of their money on glossy advertising campaign and administration costs rather than helping people in the developing world. Thank you.
All right, great. So next up is Frank, yeah?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yes, sorry. I mixed up. It's too early for me to. All right, Kun Frank, if you're ready, 5 minutes, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Okay, so Side Proposition has put forward 3 claims. First of all, that social media helps NGOs, and that means that they help the world more. Secondly, NGOs are slower, and that social media creates social change. But first of all, a rebuttal. NGOs may use social media, but they are able to help and create impact long before the boom of social media and that everybody was using social media. The unique change and impact that NGOs are a key component of and that NGOs create cannot be achieved through the use of social media alone. When we see these projects where NGOs utilize social media, we see that the core component is still the NGO, and without the NGO, that same change and impact cannot be implemented. But I will explain this even more in my arguments. So why is social media harmful? First of all, we will talk about the infringement of privacy. Okay, sure, social media allows people to discuss more, and proposition might argue that social media activism creates social awareness, but at the same time, social media it can be utilized by powerful entities like political parties and big corporations to spread propaganda and misinformation. These discussions are collected and sold, for example, in the case of Cambridge Analytica, a political analytics firm that used data that was unethically obtained from tens and millions of people on Facebook. And they sold these psychological profiles to American voters to use for their political they sold psychological profiles of American voters to political parties to use for their campaigns. And what this means is there is a lot of infringement on people's privacy, and people's privacy is put at risk and is constantly being infringed. And that is how social media is able to reach so many accounts. It is able to keep track of data and preferences. And from this point, we have two more extensions: the lack of accountability and the algorithm that social media uses. In terms of the lack of accountability, social media platforms have created chaos in the use of misinformation and propaganda. We see this most clearly in the mob of Trump and his supporters on January the 16th, in which they were called into action by Trump through his spread of misinformation over social media. Side proposition has said that news about COVID-19 spreads like wildfire on social media, and along with this, we see a mixture of both reasonable, valid, and reliable points, but we also see the hoarding of food and supplies and the spread of misinformation and the general panic that is caused by the spread of such information on social media. However, social media can propagate harmful information with little to no accountability for the perpetrator. It is so easy to just close your account and simply leave. And of course, there will be people following up with to correct the misinformation. But how likely is it for the common social media user to actually follow up with all the news and facts and figures that they get flooded through their feed each day? They are more likely to just simply move on to the next big sensational thing that is capturing their attention. And for the large part, this means that misinformation remains uncorrected. Now, onto the entrenchment of beliefs. The social media algorithm makes people only see what they want to see. And because most of us just engage with people who think like us, we only normally follow or associate with people we know in real life. Most likely, these are people that come from a similar socioeconomic status or culture or nationality. We normally click on things that interest us and consume content that further agrees or we only click on content that further agrees with or supports our own points of view. And the social media rhythm recognizes this. And so thus our page is filled with a lot of similar content. What this looks like in the real world is conservatives and Trump supporters seeing Trump supportive posts and sentiments supporting Trump and his agenda, and they become even more entrenched in their own beliefs, which hinders the progress of society. So not everything will catch attention. Maybe only one big thing that's famous enough will actually catch attention and be able to have longevity on social media. But over time, this entrenchment of beliefs causes a confirmation bias where people are constantly being more entrenched and believe deeper and deeper within their own thoughts. So the comparatives are here, right? NGOs may be slower, but the benefits are real and not mitigated by anything. Okay, maybe they're not able to secure a large fund, but if they do secure a fund, it's to the people. If it's a discussion, the information is more fruitful, more insightful, more backed up by research. NGOs usually reach the people who need it the most. They have the benefit of volunteers and specialists physically reaching out to people on the ground who need the aid. Sure, okay, maybe social media allows people to discuss more, but discussion does not immediately drastically improve people's lives, especially not the most vulnerable groups of people. Social media does not have the facilities or systems in place to reach those vulnerable peoples like NGOs can. Most NGO workers are passionate and immersed within their own work. And social media just makes people feel the urge to overshare and seek approval. We see this the most in performative altruism, performative charity from societal pressures. People don't actually really passionately support the cause they repost on their story. They're just trying to gain social approval. And this means that the majority of makeup of people on social media aren't the same as people who work in NGOs who are going to commit and actually strive to make the change. If proposition was to say that NGOs cannot bring about industrialization, well, then neither can social media. If you want to say that only local and small communities will be helped, then we say that is still worthwhile because these people are normally neglected, are in neglected communities that need them the most. And so we want to argue that, okay, maybe social media has their benefits, but the question is whether these benefits really outweigh the drastic changes that 10 NGOs can perform. Thank you.
All right. Okay. I might need to close my Facebook account now, just to prevent all those problems, right? No more social media. Okay. That's the end of the round 2 of the 5th topic. I put the vote into the group line. Please do vote. You have 2 minutes. That's great. So Nat, I think your birthday is okay. Let's keep it secret. So I don't want to be amazed with my superpower. So I tell you directly in your direct message. Okay. So next up is team 11. Oh no, sorry, team 3, which will be
ครับผม
Kun Shotipat Kun Beam, right? You up
Yeah.
against then the birthday boy. So obviously you're losing, man.
Okay. All right. Okay. Do I go now or
You go where?
no? Do
Where
I
do you want to
speak
go?
now?
No,
No. I
just
don't need
kidding.
to go. I sit here. Okay.
Okay. Just wait for another minute. Let your friends vote for 1 more minute. Then I'll let you go.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. I have heard that Beams prepare a lot of riff to show you for your birthday, right?
I haven't heard of it.
Okay. Bad. So maybe Beam, you can play some guitar for Koki as a birthday songs after this session.
Or later on. Not now.
Okay. Too bad, Koki. Sorry, your friend is he doesn't love you like I do. So all right, okay. The voting is closed now. Thank you so much. So Beam, if you're ready, the floor is yours. I got 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So, well, in social media, right, there are like a lot of data. So recent data shows that 300 million people spend more than 5 hours each day on social networks, and about 200,000 videos are uploaded to YouTube every day. Well, this means information is widely available through social media, and well, there are new information on YouTube, new videos, and all that stuff every day, like daily, So, for example, you can get information about history by watching Crash Course, or like you can go to like history.com. It's the website that you choose to go to, because you can't blame the whole thing, the whole social media. There are like credible sources, and there are sources that you can like you can credit on, and yeah, you can watch like NDTV, Al Jazeera, CNN, BBC, whatever, Well, and that those sources are like, okay, you can trust them, and well, these information, they can spread awareness and all that stuff faster than NGOs, of course. So with all of that information which is available, it assists informal learning. It also benefits low-income family with poor prospects on formal education. Like I'm saying that you don't actually need a lot of money to get on social media. My maid cleaner, she gets like what, 10,000 baht per month. She can have a phone and access YouTube. It doesn't take that much. And yeah, kids can just go watch educational videos on YouTube, and yeah, they can learn something, Well, you might say it is the wrong information. Oh, this is bad. This is not true. So many false information on social media. But if you check, well, you can check the view count. You can check the dislike button. You can check the like button. You can check the subscribers. And well, it's also the source that you're looking, and if it's not that credible, well, there's going to be a lot of like dislike, of course. And well, if there are like some channels with good like a lot of subscribers, it's most likely to give out some, you know, good information that you can learn, most probably. So yeah, social media is also making the world less homogeneous, you know, being equal. Yeah, and it is also a new way to express cultural differences rather than technology that has made the world more homogeneous. Well, people can post video of their culture on Facebook or Instagram, and people actually appreciate that. Like sometimes I see like some African culture, and I actually take time to look at it. You know, it's actually kind of cool, like they dancing and all of that stuff. Yeah, and yeah. Lastly, what I have to say is that well, nowadays people can post that they need help on social media, and they just get money to help because people, okay, this is what I need help, and you take some pictures and videos of you and like, okay, this is the proof and all of that stuff, and I need money, and you just put your bank account there, and then people just, you know, people just transfer you the money. Yeah, and well, this is of course faster than NGO, you know, because with NGO you got to do all that paperwork and all that stuff. And yeah, the organization still requires funding to pay for the employees. Well, that money is going to the employee too. Well, they're passionate and they're getting money. How good is that, you know? Yeah, but if you transfer them directly, the person that is actually in need actually gets the equal amount of money that you transfer to. Yeah, so I think social media can also help, better than NGOนะครับ. Okay, that's all what I have to say. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Love you.
So you
Bye-bye.
don't trust NGO at all. That's bad. That's
Yeah.
really bad. I put you right on the spot, and then I send your names and emails address and everything to them, right?
Okay, they can talk to me,ครับ. I'm very
Talk to you. Okay, that's good. Ask Pasakon. I think he can help you a lot.
yes, he can
All
help
right.
me.
So the next one up is Koki. You ready, Koki? The birthday boy.
Yes, okay. I'll start.
You like hangover? Like you seem like not fresh at all.
Yeah, I drank last night. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. All right. So Koki, the floor is your 5 minutes. Go ahead. Good luck.
Okay. So thanks for your statement, Beam. I want to start with talking about job creation by social media. The first speaker and the second speaker of supporting team said it is true that many like jobs are created or more searchable through social media, like finding jobs on LinkedIn, content creators like YouTuber. But there are some jobs that are replaced by social media as well. New jobs are created that mostly means current jobs disappear. For example, music industry. YouTube destroyed music industry. People used to go to CD rental shops and pay money to listen to music, but today you are free to listen to most music for free on YouTube. Like the song used for famous Japanese movie called Your Name by Red Wimps. More than 150 million views on YouTube, but only 50,000 CDs are sold. This makes it CD rental shops and artists have hard time making money. Plus, in terms of improving economy by YouTube content, viewers actually contribute to the US economy. So CD shops or artists used to make more money in Thai market, but today more money that was supposed to be given to Thai local market will be taken by US company. And as a result, improves only US economy. This just widens the economy gap between developed countries and developing countries, which is obviously not helping the world. The same is true for TV industry or movie industry. More people watch YouTube rather than TV, and some movies illegally uploaded and damage local entertainment market. So for this case, I don't think social media like YouTube actually improves local economy as a whole. And when it comes to job opportunities, in the first place, good working environment must be without any environmental or social problems. like gender inequality, bad working conditions like labor exploitations, poor education system, accessibility of devices or the internet. These problems must be solved first for better job opportunities, and NGOs actively work on solving these underlying problems. And I heard the speaker said that NGOs do not create new jobs, but now you know that they actually contribute a lot to job creation by solving problems. Next, I want to talk about giving a voice to the public. So it is true that with social media, more people can give a voice to the public, but there's a capacity of information people can receive, and it is often dependent on the individual's features. As Franz said, with the social media's algorithm, social media provides information based on what you searched or what you liked in the past. Plus, being said, a ton of information on social media, but again, information on social media is overwhelming and less likely to be found unless it has a very strong impact. So even though more people have an opportunity to speak up in public, it does not mean many people will listen to it. And in terms of information reliability, anyone is free to share any kinds of information on social media, but no one is responsible for information accuracy. And we, as an information receiver, has no ability to critically think if the information is correct or not. So we just believe whatever we see on social media, which is very risky. And often content creators tend to exaggerate or mislead the content to be more impactful and more spreadable on social media. And you stated that NGOs often use African poverty images to generate like more sympathy and donations. I mean, this is true, but in the first place, NGOs information or advertisement must be trusted by stakeholders or citizens and get donation to do more activities, meaning that NGOs information must be right. And in general, advertisements are created to be more impactful, to reach out to many people and make them sympathize and make things look better than the its actual value. So impactful ads is not only for NGOs, but for most marketing strategies and the African people portrayed on the ads. They are actually in very urgent need of funds and aid. So I don't see any problems with that. And lastly, social media can spread awareness and information faster than NGOs. This is true, but first of all, NGOs is not the media, and the objective of NGOs is not to increase awareness, but NGOs were built to help the world, like improving the state of the natural environment, encouraging human rights, improving the welfare, and solving core problems that not many people care about. And once again, I want to remind you that awareness alone cannot create change. Like all of us have been aware of a lot of like social and environmental problems on social media or even in this like Ronnie's SDGs class. But how many of us actually took an action after being aware of something and help the world? Awareness is just the like first step. So you must take an action just like NGOs do today to truly help the world. Thank you.
Okay, that's nice. So awareness and actions, right? Which one is more important? That's great. So I put the vote into the group line already. So the guys back home got 2 minutes to vote. Good job, Beam and Koki. So the next one up is it's Kun Kittima versus Kun Natasit. Are you ready, Kun Kittima?
Yes, I think.
You still in Chiang Mai?
No, I at Bangkok right now.
Okay. เอ้าแล้วใครอยู่เชียงใหม่วะ
Muk.
Oh yes, Mook. Sorry, my bad. Your face quite look similar. Right? I mean,
Ronnie, you
I
forget me. I'm
no,
so
I'm
sad.
sorry. The team Mango, why not? มะม่วง ทีมมะม่วงของผม
Mangosteen, you also forget our team name, Ronnie.
I'm just teasing you. All right, okay, guys. It's time now, so I close the vote, and wait up. I got 15 seconds to go. I think I'll be in a very difficult situation as well because I don't believe either. I mean, neither social media nor NGO. So it would be very tough for me to defend one or another. All right. Okay. So let's close the vote now. It's time. So it's a closing statement from Team T, which is Kun Kitima, and Team 11, which is Kun Natasit. Kun Kitima, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Okay. From what the previous speaker just said, that's all interesting. But the problem that I still wonder is that in a new study, they'll find the evidence that NGO can indeed crown out government, providing service. And in doing so, may it inadvertently harm the people they're seeking to help. Moreover, as our second speaker mentioned, in the social space nowadays, we often come across NGO closing their operation most of the time. Around 95% of NGO close because of their inability in raising funds for their organization. The capping reason why NGO fade away is their inadequate passion in the organization to keep going. And this is the reason why this organization don't last long, because people don't have the same passion forever, right? And to sum up, let me recap all of the point why social media is helping the world more than NGOs. Firstly, social media created more long-term economic opportunity than NGO that only provided money or short-term assistance, such as donating items or money. Or more than that, I personally think that if a country that has a good government administration, I don't think this kind of organization like NGO will ever be founded, isn't it? And secondly, social media is the key component that keep NGO developing and growing. As mentioned in our section, without the help of social media, NGO will have less impact as it will get lower funding, with fewer people knowing about the organization. And they will be less effective as they will have fewer opportunity to gain insight from other stakeholders. Thirdly, social media help social change more than organizations like NGO that bring together a group of like-minded people. Millions of social media users can highlight issue and different perspectives on what is happening with the world right now. As more people can contribute to the problem, more variety of option and opinions can be expressed. People can gain a wider understanding of how to solve a problem. Next, social media is a faster way for donation or asking for help. It's much faster than waiting for help from an organization like an NGO. And some help cannot be wait that long. When the help from various organizations arrive, it might be too late. Moreover, social media is helping us better respond to disaster. We've seen so many examples of how social media and digital communication more broadly are helping respond to disasters such as Crisis Mapper or even Facebook's Safety Check. Social media also helping us tackle some of the world biggest challenge, from human rights violation to climate change. Content shared on social media has increasing potential to use as evidence of wartime atrocities and human rights violations. And surprisingly, the health industry is already using social media to change how it's work, whether through public health campaign or virtual doctor visit on Skype. It's also helped group of people such as patients suffering from the same condition stay in touch. And I think these advantages are beyond what a non-profit organization like NGO can do. Lastly, I am sure that all of the reasons and data referenced above are adequate proof for us to conclude that social media is helping the world more than NGOs. Thank you.
Okay, good stuff. Then the Team 11, Natasit, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, good. So the floor is yours, 5 minutes. Go ahead.
All right. So this is a very interesting debate, I would like to say. But however, we believe that the proposition case is somewhat weak and does not really prove why social media is better than NGOs. And here is why. Firstly, on the principle level of this issue, we are talking about which helps the world more. And on the principle level, social media and NGO is different because social media is capital driven. It serves its stakeholders, while NGOs are social driven. It serves the community on the community level, and it is more focused on social goals, unlike social media, which is just a platform that is run by a capital organization. On the practical level, on the first point that of the clashes of this debate is that on the awareness versus change. Team Proposition mentioned a lot on the awareness that social media can create. We do not deny that, and we believe that yes, okay, social media does create a lot of awareness. However, like what Koki said, awareness alone does not lead to change. And the proposition whip mentioned that if governments are good, then there would be no NGOs. However, that is actually what proves the point of our team, is that because there are problems today, we cannot deny that there are problems in the world today run by incompetence that happens by incompetencies of people, and that is why NGOs are here to solve the problem. NGOs promote a long-term change and more sustainable change compared to social media, which only just raise the awareness, and it depends on the individual whether they may further support or do something for the cause that they were aware of. On the second point about the economy, Team Proposition argued that social media is responsible for creating jobs and better opportunities for people, or the 4.3 billion privileged people who have access to social media. However, I would like to remind all of you that there are 7 billion people in the world. Thus, you're leaving behind over almost 3 billion people in the world who does not have access to internet or social media. And this is where NGO comes into the place. The world, there are many people in the world who are unfortunate and who are in the position that they need help from the very basic level, which is help from on the communal level, which NGOs provide, whereas social media although they may be able to do it to an extent, but they are not as good as NGOs, which comes to my third point on the impact of NGOs and versus social media. So the Team Proposition arguments, a lot of them says that it promotes awareness, change, and people. It is faster. It is more suitable for the fast-paced moving world, right? However, these kind of things may leave behind many people, which NGOs here comes and fill in the gap. And and in terms of impact, social media, like what my previous speakers had said, that there is no accountability or responsibility, unlike NGOs, which are systematically organized organization that they will promote change, and there are accountability and responsibility when they do something. Yes, we admit that sometimes we may be slower, and sometimes we may not be as efficient as social media platforms in terms of spreading awareness and stuff. But in the long term, we believe that we believe that responsibility and accountability is also important, because in order to promote change, we need a planned strategic we need a strategic plan that is addressing problems in the long run, and not only creating awareness and letting people kind of getting into the hype like social media. So we believe that clearly NGOs are more useful and more beneficial to the world as it promotes a long-term and a more systematic solution which holds accountability, which has accountability and responsibility since it is an organization. While social media alone, well, yeah, it is functional in terms of its platform, but in the long run, it lacks a lot of characteristics that help promote long-term and sustainable change like NGOs. Thank you.
All right, that's good closing statement from you. That's great. Good job. Good job, you guys. Let me just post a voting form to the guys back home to get 2 minutes again. Good job. Well, I mean, this day, right? A lot of NGO are using social media to spread the news, so I think it's support to one another. So you don't have to pick one. You might have to integrate one at the optimum level. So but let it be the topic. So let's take photo. All right. Look at the cameras. All right. Make sure you give me a smiling face. Pasagorn, you already like handsome enough. So don't need to just do that. You're
Of
fine.
course, but not as much as Professor Ronnie.
ชั่วร้ายมาก Okay. All right. Let's say happy birthday. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday. Okay. What's so funny, Kitima? Okay. All right, that's great. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. You did a good job today. All right. Appreciate your effort. All right. Thank you so much. It's fun. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Then we come to the third and the last topic of today, which is fast fashion is more sustainable than those brand name stuff. Good topics again. I think it's really interesting to see how like those fast fashion go against those brand name which last forever. So the team 4 will be the one who support the topics, and the team 10 will be the team who oppose the topic. Good evening, team 4 and team 10. How are you today?
Good ค่ะ
Okay. So we got 4 of team 4. That's great. So for team 4, who's go first?
Good.
Which one go first? Team 4.
มีค่ะ
Natalie go first. And who's the second?
มีค่ะ
Who's me? Can you give me shall be the name? Chirasaya, the second, and then who following by
ยานิสาค่ะ
Yanisa and then Pasamon, right? Okay, that's great. Good morning, team 11. How are you? Oh no, sorry, team 10.
Good morning ค่ะ
Good morning.
Good morning, crap. So who's go first for team 10?
มีค่ะ นัทมนต์ค่ะ
Again, Natamon first. Good. Then following by
เพลดีค่ะ
Pendradi. That's great. And then
นันทพัฒน์สอนค่ะ
wow. Okay. So Pon, you're close. You sure about that?
Yes.
Can't change now. All right. So your team is the last topic of this semester debating session. It's about fashion is more sustainable than those brand name stuff. So if team 4 is ready, if Kun Natalie is ready, the floor is yours. I got 5 minutes. Spend the time wisely. Good luck.
Good morning, Professor and audience. The topic for our today debate is that fast fashion is more sustainable than those brand name stuff. We, the affirmative team, believe that this statement is true. Today, as a first speaker, I'll be talking to you about introduction to fast fashion, sustainable certification, and some green campaigns of fast fashion brand. My first point is to explain a brief information about fast fashion. It can be defined as cheap, trendy clothing that sample ideas from the catwalk or celebrity cultures and turn them into garments in high street stores to meet customer demand. The idea is to get the newest style on the market as fast as possible, so the shoppers can snap them up while they are still at the height of their popularity. For example, Zara and H&M are the two giants in the fast fashion field. Others include Uniqlo, Gap, Topshop, and Pomelo. Before the 1800s, fashion was slow. You had to source your own material like wool, leather, prepare them, weave them, and then make clothes. The Industrial Revolution introduced new technology, like the sewing machine. Clothes became easier, quicker, and cheaper to make. Dressmaking shops emerged to cater to the middle classes. In the late 1990s and 2000s, low-cost fashion reached a peak. Online shopping took off, and fast fashion retailers like H&M, Zara, and Topshop took over the high street. These brands took the looks and design elements from the top fashion houses and reproduced them quickly and cheaply. With everyone now able to shop for on-trend clothes whenever they wanted, it's easy to understand how the phenomenon caught on. However, these days it's hard to know which brand can back up their grand claims of sustainability and ethics, and which ones are telling the fibs through the evil powers of greenwashing. One quick and easy way to find out if a brand is walking the walk is by searching for their ethical certifications. Now, let me introduce you some types of the certifications. ACO is an organic product produced without use of any harmful chemicals. BCI, making cotton a sustainable mainstream commodity. Fairtrade advocates for the protection of the rights of farming and worker communities all around the world. FSC, proven their processes are appropriate through every aspect of the supply chain. GOTS certified contains a minimum of 70% organic fibers. Woolmark tests and approved as 100% pure new wool. For the last point is the example of the green campaign from Pomelo, which is a huge clothing and fashion store in Thailand, introducing a new collection of a green campaign called Purpose. The name of the collection also refers how customers can donate the used clothes and give them a new purpose through redistribution and underprivileged communities in Thailand, Singapore, and Indonesia. This found out that 87% of the respondents were more likely to spend on sustainable products. Reuse of garments is one of the brand's green initiatives that respond to the environmental impact of fast fashion. Purpose apparel are made from ethically sourced fabrics, including organic cotton from the Better Cotton Initiative, natural color dyes, as well as cruelty-free materials such as vegan suede and recycled shell buttons. Although the majority of people still believe that fast fashion is not environmentally friendly, those businesses are continuously working to improve their environmental policies and their concern to the environment. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Lots of information. I didn't know that. That's great. So, Team 10. The first one up is Kun Nathamon. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, that's good. So, the floor is yours. Got 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is nice seeing you stand out for the fast fashion. But let me ask you a question. What is the definition of sustainable fashion in your perspective? Yes, it is a hot topic now, but it is commonly misunderstood. There are several different angles to approach it from, and oftentimes people focus on one angle but not the others. Before I dive in, I want to first clarify what sustainable fashion actually is. The way I see this is sustainable fashion focus on 4 main aspects. Number 1, the place of purchase. Ask yourself, can I buy this piece used or from a sustainable brand? Can I rent the piece if I only need it for an event? Number 2, the production of clothing. Were the worker treated fairly and paid their living wage? Does the production process use resource efficiently, avoid hazardous chemical and mistreatment of animals? Number 3, the actual clothing. Is material high quality and made to last? Are the material environmentally friendly and biodegradable? Do they use animal product in their clothing like leather or fur? And finally, for consumption habit, do I actually need this piece and will I wear it regularly for many years? And some ethical brands might not be as ethical as you think. Sustainability is a marketing tactic now. And some businesses use that to take an advantage of well-meaning consumer. This is known as greenwashing. Let me take an example. Zara has been promoting their brand using greenwashing as their marketing tactic. Through a product line called Joy Life, their products are made using processed and raw material which have lesser impact on the environment. However, the fact that they came to make 50% of their good part of Joy Life by 2022 raised the controversy among the public, as only a quarter of in-store products these days belong to the campaign. As there is neither solid evidence nor any statement regarding the progress, it creates issues concerning transparency, whether the brand is truly sustainable or not. And when it comes to the distribution and post-distribution process, the clothes are distributed all over the world by brands like H&M, Zara, Topshop, Forever 21, and Mango. These are just a few of the most popular fast fashion brands known globally. Most of these clothes end up in the trash if they aren't sold or when a new trend pops up. And globally, over 38 million tons of textile waste go to landfill or is incinerated per year. One could say that the solution to this huge amount of waste would be to recycle, just like other waste. However, the textiles used in fast fashion are mostly modified and blended petrochemical or synthetic textile. On the other hand, Gucci is on the top list as the most transparent luxury brand with 48% transparency, following with Kering Group brands, namely BAScii, Saint Laurent, and Bottega Veneta. As luxury and designer brands have a tradition of keeping the source and manufacturing of their product confidential, the percentage number is considered as a majestic start. But I am not denying that the brand name also branded and so stuff. But there is a general fact of brand name that everyone knows to maintain their luxury standard, or else it's not exclusive anymore. And you can see that they do not try to cover it, unlike those that were being mentioned, such as Zara or other fast fashion brands, that come up with an excuse that they just burn them because they are all defective clothes, just for them to look lesser horrible to the press. This shows the lack of transparency in this fast fashion brand. And since you know now, do you still insist that fast fashion is more sustainable than brand names? Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Okay, good stuff. Let me just post the wording stuff to them. Okay, guys. So the first round, the sixth topic, vote is open now. You got 2 minutes to vote. Again, your teams as a debate team, you don't have to vote for yourself, all right? That's great. So the next one up is sorry. The next one up is team number number 4. Miss Jirachaya will go against Kun Penradi. Yeah. Okay. Just give them to vote for another minute or so, then we can start the second round of the 6 topics. Okay, it's 2 minutes up now. So, let's close the vote. And Kun Jirachaya, if you're ready, the floor is yours 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. I accept it, but when compared to brand name, the disadvantages of fast fashion are less. Yes, fast fashion can be environmentally damaging, but brands like H&M are adapting to the consequences of it. They have stated that we all know that a product with long lifespan are less negative impact to the environment. So we do all what we can to ensure longevity. And since a product spend most of its lifetime with its owner, this means that encouraging customers to make sustainable choice while using recycling our product and empowering them to do so. By this, they have created second-hand fashion platform in Canada called Rewear. The platform will enable customers to buy and sell used fashion item at Rewear. With Rewear, you can purchase previously owned item from trendy style to everyday essential from any brand. Moreover, customers can sell their second-hand clothes with seamless selling experience with photo editing tools and price recommendations. The new platform will help to prolong lifespan of garment and help to close the fast fashion loop, leading to a more sustainable future. Luxury brand can also be environmentally damaging and have labor conditions. One example is Louis Vuitton. It is simply not good enough for the planet. There is no evidence it minimizes textile waste and it uses few eco-friendly material. It complies with its own restricted substances list, but there is no evidence it has taken meaningful action to eliminate hazardous chemicals. Like other luxury fashion houses, Louis Vuitton also often burn unsold stock. Between 2019 and 2013 and 19, they have started 45 projects in regard to their greenhouse gas emissions. The brand also scored not good enough for a treatment of workers across supply chain. It received a score of 21 to 30% in the Fashion Transparency Index. And its final stage of production is undertaken in medium-risk country for labor abuse. They did not publish a comprehensive list of suppliers or information about forced labor, gender equality, or freedom of associations. It does not disclose policies of safeguard to protect suppliers or workers from the impact of COVID-19. And there is no evidence it ensures payment of living wage in any part of its supply chains. Some luxury brands sell some of the world's most expensive and well-known fashion accessories made from exotic skin. At one farm, it was found that a worker hacked into a crocodile neck and ran metal rod down their spine, so that brand could make profit from selling their skin. Experts found that these animals have remained conscious for more than an hour after the spinal cord have been severed and their blood vessel has been cut. Louis Vuitton animal rating is also very poor. It has statements about minimizing animal suffering, but not a formal animal welfare policy. It uses fur, down, leather, wool, exotic animal skin, exotic animal hair, and Angora. It traces some animal product for the first stage of productions. By this, we cannot forget the point of how expensive branded products are. Studies shows that buying luxury items satisfy and desire to be associated in the elite group, but owning product made from animal doesn't elevate consumer to a higher social status. It just demonstrates that they support industry that abuse, enslave, and kill animals. Today, there are varieties of vegan leather where it can be easy to clean, soft to touch, and resistant to spill. By this, will you still support the use of brand name animal leather bags?
Okay, that's it. All right, that's immediate end that I don't even know that you are ending. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. So the next person is Kun Penradi. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Kun Penradi, got 5 minutes to go. The floor is yours. Go ahead, man.
We are not denying that Louis Vuitton is bad for this, but there's many more brands that stopped using skin and fur. For example, Chanel, they have been stopped using this material since 2019, and some that are produced by the exotic skin. For example, Hermes, the product is very rare and it costs like million baht. So they produce in small quantity and just for particular group of people. And the luxury industry has long been positioned as the home of craft and quality, and they employ hundreds of skilled dressmakers. Imagine all the paycheck they have to pay for these skilled workers. And brand name is about art and experience they give to their customer. All their products and patterns have a long history, and they portray it in their fashion show. Imagine all the expense they have to pay to run the venue and models. And this pretty much answers the question why it is so expensive. It's not only about the material that it used, but it's also the whole thing, the experience and the people. And aren't you curious why fast fashion is so cheap? And well, you might think that the fashion show thing is unnecessary, but let me tell you this. With each fashion season, the outfit we see on the runways of brand name depict and decide what is in trend for that season. The garments in runway collection are usually very expensive and limited in stock, which means that people without deep pocket couldn't reach them. Fast fashion manufacturers mass produce similar runway looks using cheaper fabrics and labor on a on a bulk scale and sell the garment produced at a fraction of the cost of the original. How fast fashion makes such a cheap and easily available clothes is that they use cheap raw material and final fabric, which called petrochemical textile, that are made from non-renewable fossil fuels. They require an immense amount of energy and resource to be produced. Fast fashion has increased the demand for petrochemical textile by at least 30% in the last decade, and that's quite a big number, right? This is concerning because the reserves of fossil fuel are depleting at an alarming rate, which means that it is faster than nature can replenish them. The annual global emission by the textile industry is 1.2 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which account 10% of humanity's carbon emission. However, that isn't the only problem with synthetic fabric. Many of the chemicals used to manufacture this fabric are also toxic and are highly polluting and toxic to the environment and harmful to humans. The fast fashion model is overconsumption. There are 52 seasons in the fast fashion industry annually, which simply means that the trends change every week. And this can be confirmed because yesterday I just went to Zara and I saw a green tracksuit looking just like it came out from a Netflix series, Squid Game. Imagine if people stop talking about Squid Games. Would people still buy it? If not, where will all the unsold pieces go? Of course, landfill. To be sustainable is to consume less. With this level of production and consumption, this model is just not fit for its purpose and for our current environment. After all, we live in an era of disposable fashion when more and more of us treat clothes as a thrown-away items, worn for one night out or one wedding or one selfie, before being tossed aside in favor of something brand new. If 10 years ago you bought a Birkin bag, today you can still carry it around proudly, as well as Chanel bags, which start with the price 100K and now cost 300K. Yes, I am not denying that brand name is expensive, but it is not something that you will buy oftenly and in large quantities. It stays with you for a long time, and sometimes its value increase. Unlike fast fashion brands that you buy in large quantities because it's cheap, but you don't even know in what occasion you are going to wear it, and most of them end up in your closet, and that is just overconsumption. Sustainability in fashion is not only about the manufacturer process and the brand responsiveness toward environment. It is also about your consumption behavior. To sum up, fast fashion is inexpensive because the whole process is cheap. They copy from small designer to famous brand name, pay labor under minimum wages, and use harmful materials. All of these factors make fast fashion uncomparable to brand name. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. Are those shoes or brand name stuff behind you and bags? It's, that's why you pick these topics, right? Okay, that's great. I'm just kidding. Yeah. Okay, so I just give the topic 6 round 2 voting form into the group line. So the guys back home, you get 2 minutes to vote. Okay, that's great. So next person up is Kun Yanisa. You will go against Kun Nannapat yeah? So Kun Yanisa, you have any fast fashion closet to back you up? Like Kun Pendari? No?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. That's great. It's been fun now. Okay. All right, that's great. So the time is up now. We get to close the board, and could you decide if you're ready? The floor is yours. 5 minutes. Go ahead.
There is a quote from the founder of ASNT, the fashion brand, that every happy customer comes at an environmental cost. For every pair of glasses we make, ASNT does harm to the planet. Every frame we produce, every lens we cut, and every package we ship. Everything is connected to natural resources. For me personally, I would define sustainability as a spectrum. There is no right or wrong. There is no straight line to being sustainable in fashion. The core to define sustainable fashion is the customer's behavior about how they consume. Even though it's a luxury brand name, but what if customer buys a new one in every single day? Then what's the difference with fast fashion? What I want to say is that brand names could be considered as fast fashion as well. Especially nowadays, they are launching new collections more often, along with collaborating with other trendy brands. So, if both are fast fashion, then how can we know which one is more sustainable? I want to point out about the process of both production-wise and resources-wise. Many high fashion brands turn a blind eye to the cruel conditions that animals are subjected to before they turn to luxury clothes. Clothing brands are cruel to animals in two main ways: torturing animals directly for their skin, fur, or hide, and polluting their habitat and disrupting their food chains. The frightening fact is that around 1 billion rabbits and 50 million other animals, such as foxes, seals, a mink, and even dogs, are raised on farms or trapped in the wild for their pelts. There is no way to make any leather good without killing an animal. Most well-known brands still sell leather products, so listing all the brands that use leather would be endless. Furthermore, in 2014, Burberry, Saint Laurent, and Dior were some of the few high-fashion brands accused of buying rabbit skin from Spanish farms, notorious for severe animal cruelty. Companies know that by slapping a high price tag and a luxury label on filthy, disgusting process, people will think that they are buying something of value. Here's what happens so that consumers can purchase expensive luxury animal-derived products. Workers in animal abusing industries raise animals, slaughter them in bloody and often painful ways, hack them into pieces, or peel off their skin, often while they're still conscious. Treat the skin with cancer-causing chemicals that harm both people and the planet, and then transport the animal's putrefied carcass or body parts to a factory. There, what was once a living being is turned into an item that folks will use for a short time before vanity kicks in and prompts them to support the process all over again. Companies such as Hermes and Prada create some of the world's most expensive and well-known fashion accessories made from exotic skins. Yet, consumers still have little idea about how much deprivation, blood, slaughter, and environmental damage is involved in manufacturing such items. If they saw firsthand that countless animals are bludgeoned and electrocuted to make coats and handbags every year, they would lose their lunch. In 21st century, it's easy for consumers to find such fashionable, comfortable, and warm clothing and accessories without wearing animal skin or fur, in which fast fashion would be one of the good options. They are trying to encourage customers to make sustainable choices while using and recycling their products, and empowering them to do so. Obviously, better than luxury brand names that do not think about sustainable issues. In fact, they don't even care. Thank you.
โอเค คุณณัฐพัฒน์สอน are you ready
Yes ค่ะ
โอเคค่ะ if you're ready please take it away the floor is yours go ahead
We are not saying that brand name is 100% sustainable when it comes to the usage of animal skins, but we must understand that leather goods and luxury brand industry seem together for a long time, like about more than 100 years. Changing the old culture of big industry would definitely take time. However, some of the couture are banning exotic. For example, Chanel, one of the most famous fashion brand in Paris, Chanel brand for an exotic skin from their collection since 2018. Not to mention those well-known brands like Hermes, like Victoria Beckham and Marbury, they are banning as well. This is a sign that luxury brands are seriously care and take action about this. There's a few brand left that are using exotics. Anyway, I noticed that you didn't mention about labor rights. This topic is a hotly debate in this day and age. fast fashion is considered as one of contributor to forced labor, as fast fashion aim to get the newest style on the market as quickly as possible, so consumer will purchase them at the height of popularity. Also, in the fast fashion industry, companies frequently cut corners and ignore safety measures to keep production and retail costs low to increase their profit margins. This is to the result that labor are forced to be overworked in exchange for the unfairly bare minimum wage, working within the dangerous work environment and face gender-based violence. On top of that, the Chinese Uyghur laborers have been forced to work as a manufacturer of big brands that we all know, such as Zara, Nike, Adidas, and Gap, have been directly and indirectly involved in this human violation. There is a report from Swedish writers that they met 15 years old Myanmar workers working in the garment factories that we all know. The child worked for more than 12 hours a day. Isn't a 15 years old girl supposed to be in the school instead? Moreover, Shein brands lack of supply chain transparency and have continuously shown a lack of sensitivity and respect to indie artists, as they reportedly add up approximately 2,000 new designs per day, which most of the original design owners found out later that their unique design that they worked hard on it got into Shein online application without their permission and consent. Comparing to the luxury brand workers, the workers have a fair wage in return to their fine handcraft goods. So those designers in the luxury brands have their own potential to create and intention to present their own designs to the world. From the previously mentioned content, apparently brand name is better than fast fashion, not only in terms of labor rights, but also respect and value every design.
Okay. Another stop without noticing. Okay, that's good. Then we wrap it up for round 3. Let me just post the voting into the group. All right, guys, you got 2 minutes to vote. All right. Then for the last person up for the team 4 is Kun Pasamon. Kun Pasamon will go against Kun Techasit. Wow. Don't hold back, Kun Pasamon. Techasit is very good. All right. Let's wait for another minute for your team, for your friends back home to finish the vote. All right, the time is up now. Can you close the vote, please? All right, Patsamon, if you're ready, the floor is yours. Let's close it strong. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, let me give you an example of a fast fashion sustainable brand. One first brand that comes up into my mind is Uniqlo. Uniqlo is more sustainable than what you think. I'll tell you more about this. Uniqlo is intercepting its supply chain at multiple levels to reduce its overall waste. Back in September 2019, Uniqlo switched to eco-friendly shopping bags. They aim to reduce single-use plastic in its supply chain. More, the brand encourages customers to bring unwanted Uniqlo clothing to their stores and for recycling and donations. The brand has even developed a new technology called Blue Cycle for the manufacturing of jeans that most of you would have in your wardrobes. Blue cycles decrease the amount of manual labor and water used to make jeans. Also, the new laser distressing system replaces sandpaper fading to reduce water consumption up to 99%. Now, let's look at the labor side. Uniqlo has made strides toward more ethical labor in 2019. It is reported with improvements like employing more workers with disabilities and increase the women management positions. Brand has even partnered with the United Nations entity for gender equality and the empowerment of women to support the women's worker. Narrowing down fast fashion sustainability, I'll give you one more example. I guess everyone would know this brand, Zara. Zara contributes to the Green to Pack program, where Zara will reconfigure its packaging and labeling systems to eliminate single-use plastic products by 2023, in the next 2 years. Furthermore, Zara has announced that by 2025, they will try to only use cotton, linen, polyester that is organic, sustainable, and recycled. To be more sustainable, Zara has developed a series of 5-year strategic environmental plan. Zara has also promised to switch to 100% renewable electrical energy in its central office, logistic centers, and stores, and its goal is to reduce and offset all emission by 2040. Well, I'm not saying that Uniqlo and Zara is 100% a sustainable fast fashion brand, but most of the elements and what they are trying to do is aiming to be more sustainable and protecting and helping the world. In my perspective, I think both fast fashion and brand names are sustainable in a way and are not in another way. Lastly, to end this, I would say that brand names are still continuing using animals as their materials, and some brands or even most of the brands uses exotic animals. And mentioned before that Louis Vuitton also often burns stocks, unsold stocks, which is waste of materials, which then considered to be unsustainable. Clothing brands are cruel to animals in two main ways, as mentioned before, is torturing animals directly for their skin and fur and polluting their habitat and disrupting their food chains. But fast fashion are trying to tackle all the elements from the material to the selling process, trying to find ways bits by bits to make every process of the brand more sustainable and reliable in the future. I know it's hard to say which are more sustainable in this context, but most of the fast fashion brands are working on to be more sustainable, like recycling old clothes, like what H&M did, Zara reusing boxes, hangers, bags, and all of their bags are 100% recycled papers. Each of the brands are trying to plan their future strategies to make more progress for the customers to see and contribute to more sustainable actions. Going back to what we've said previously, we cannot forget the point of how expensive brand names products are. It just demonstrates that they are supporting industries that abuse, enslave, and kills animals. Then will you still think that brand names are still sustainable? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So, Kun Kennedy, do you have any exotic pet on your bags behind you?
No ค่ะ
Oh, okay, that's great. That's great. All right, Pon, are you ready?
Yes ครับ
You're the last person of this debating in this semester. All right, make sure you impress everyone. Make sure you impress me. Make sure you impress your friends. All right, make sure you make your Pasamon statement like disappear. All right, I look up for you. Okay, if you're ready, 5 minutes is yours. Go ahead, man.
Okay, so to start off, I would like to express more about a fact about fast fashion. Talking about fast fashion brands, people may think of H&M and Shein as the top brands. You can see that all these brands aren't aware of the sustainability as it should be. As you mentioned earlier about Uniqlo, Uniqlo might be good examples, but what about the rest of the majority of fast fashion brands? Those brands are probably not well known and only suit niche groups. People will continue to buy the reputable brands that it is easily accessible as it is located in a prime location in a shopping center with abundance of attention. I just want to clarify that where can you find the brands that you have just mentioned? Like, I've never seen it, and I believe that no one in this room wears those brands. And I think that some of you might be currently wearing Zara or H&M right now. Substantial brand names companies are leading towards sustainability by reducing greenhouse gas emission and use of eco-friendly material. Stella McCartney has made a public commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emission. It has a strategy in place to reduce waste across its entire supply chain, and the company is rated as good as it used environmentally friendly matter, which are wool and cashmere. Gucci is another brand that is rated. It's a start, which is good, as well as it has a policy to approve by the canopy style to prevent deforestation of ancient and endangered forests in its supply chain. It reduced chromium and other hazardous chemicals from the leather tanning processes. Not to mention that Gucci has the highest transparency rating among all brand names, which is 48%, showing that it is a good start due to the fact that most of the process has to be kept secret. Balenciaga is also rated as a start, which is 3 out of 5 stars, as the company has good policies to reduce greenhouse gas emission and avoid deforestation in its supply chain as well. So to wrap things up, fast fashion such as Nike and Urban Outfitters still have not achieved the transparency goals. Like, carbon emission occurred from burning leftover stocks that can be sold even if they deduct the price down to the floor price. Even though luxury brand names are not ranked at the top in terms of their transparency because of their policies to keep their operations private. However, they are not completely ignoring it, but trying their best to tell others what can be told. It is also true that brand names products are expensive, but you can't say that it's not worth it. With the material they use, its design, and how some design takes time to handcraft refinedly. Unlike fast fashion, that it is designed for mass market, which has to be manufactured in a plenty of stocks before the trend is over. And companies will have a hard time selling after the trend is out, while designer brands have their own signature that it is never out of date. For example, Dior Oblique Print that has been the best-selling piece of Dior since 1967 until today, as well as Chanel classic handbags that have been on sale for more than 50 years and still an irreplaceable piece of Chanel. Asking yourself that, have you ever seen fast fashion brands that can create masterpiece product like this? I think that this question can be answered right away. People still use designer bags, old collection bags, and clothes, even reselling them at a good price. Brand names never die, no matter how old the piece was. If it's still in a good quality, it definitely can be sold. Here are some examples of large companies that sell vintage bags brand name stuff, such as Net-a-Porter or Reveal. Resale is always better than throwing it away. Nowadays, spending habits are also changing as well. These days, consumers are more likely to make purchases during the seasons and not before it. And they are also increasingly conscious of their own environmental footprint, as well as those of the brands they buy, which makes them more likely to purchase fewer but more longer-lasting pieces. The lifespan of fast fashion is shorter than before and tends to get even shorter nowadays, leading to less duration to sell products of each season, making more stocks being left over. However, in contrast, brand names products are timeless and have sentimental value as time passes, and it also can be considered as a collectible items that still look in trend even after a decade. From all the information that I just mentioned earlier, I believe that when comparing all factors with fast fashion, brand name is still considered to be more sustainable and will definitely be more in the future. I know that it takes time to transform the industry and change people's hearts and minds, but a lot of brand names are working toward the goals right now. Thank you.
Okay. That's the last person of the topic 6. Wait up. Okay, guys back home, it's 2 minutes for you to vote. And for the guys in front of the camera now, we just take one group photo together. All right. 1, 2, 3. Cheers. Wait up. Okay, that's great. All right. Thank you guys for a good topics debate today. Thank you for your effort that come up with all information and data and summarize it everything in 5 minutes each here. All right. I hope you guys have a good afternoon. I will see you again probably next year on the debate sessions, right? And debate sessions for the Sustainable Development class this year has now ended. Thank you all, and hope you have a good day. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you ค่ะ
Thank you ค่ะ
Thank you ครับ